Welcome to the World Philosophy and Religion podcast with Dr. Marc Gafni. In today's episode, we are talking about the three core human needs. Now, the three core human needs are not survival needs. We are talking about the needs that come once you have met your survival needs. And they're three core needs that nobody else is talking about, but when you hear them, they will hit so deep in your soul that you will start to realize, oh, that's actually what I've been chasing my whole life. Now, one of them in particular, I will tell you right now, which is power, because today's episode focuses a lot on power. And you may be asking yourself, how the heck is power a human need? Because power at its very essence means that we have the ability to affect the world. We have the ability to make change. And without that, when we feel powerless, we feel shameful and we are unable to actually do things out in the world. So in this episode, Dr. Marc Gafni is going to go over the three core needs, but then dive deep into power. It is a fascinating conversation and something very fun. This episode begins with a rap by yours truly, so you'll get to hear some fun words on a beat. Let's go. See you in there and enjoy this episode of the World Philosophy and Religion podcast.
My clarified need is my highest and deepest need, and it's the same as my clarified desire. The very reason it all exists is
1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibilities. 1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibility. Hey, I was taking a stroll the other day when I saw an old man there walking with a cane. He had a limp in his step, could feel the strain. Every single time he lifted his foot, I saw the pain. I wandered deep in my heart and in my brain, and I wondered if he had a family to help him cope, give him hope, cook him food, give a hug, change his mood, encourage him to get up every day and move. A hard world out here, so much hurt it feels unfair. How can we deal with despair? Gotta care for each other. I remember Dr. Gafni said 1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibilities. 1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibility. Need is purpose, love is service, meaning deeper than the surface. Open me to all your pureness. Your deepest needs are my allurements. Need is purpose, love is service, meaning deeper than the surface. I open me to all your pureness. Your deepest needs are my allurements. Hey, human rights are at stake. Junk philosophies guiding our fate. Climate crisis, earth starts to quake. Humanity might just fade away, but wait, life is not a mistake. Wounds are teaching us a new way. Crisis is a womb, now let's play a larger game. I remember Dr. Gafni said 1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibilities. 1. Clarify your needs and desires. 2. You just found life's true value. 3. Value proves rights in the cosmos. 4. Rights guide our responsibilities.
not that, oh, let me get my needs met and then I'll have a good life. No, we established last week a Copernican revolution. No, actually, reality is created, not get my needs met and then have a good life. No, my good life is, right, how I engage the experience of need. We'll call it the ontology of need. Need is not a mistake, a bug in Cosmos. Need is the very purpose.
So fun to share with you guys. And as we heard there at the end of the song, Dr. Gafni talking about the fact that needs are the very purpose of the cosmos. And today we are diving deeper into the journey of needs with Dr. Marc Gafni, learning about the core needs of the human being. So Dr. Gafni, I'm excited to be here with you, with everyone else.
Here's the question I want to ask everyone, okay? And then we're diving in, right? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready to play a larger game? Are we ready to play a larger game? That's our question. Are we ready to play a larger game? Are we ready to play a larger game? That's the question. We got to step out of that narrow, constricted place where I'm trying to not get my needs met, but to get my neediness met. We're going to talk about our needs. Are we ready to play a larger game? Can I actually feel the field? Can I feel the following truth of reality? Can you find it with me? Are we ready to play a larger game? Do I know in my body that reality intended me before I was born? Do I know that reality actually chose me directly? Do I know that reality quite literally recognizes me personally? Do I know that reality does not love me? Reality literally adores me. Do I know that reality literally desires me? Do I know that reality literally, ontologically, scientifically, reality needs me? And that we are this unique group of people in this generation who are able to look up and to see the wider field and to be heroes of our lives, not in that way in which Dickens suggested, not the hero of my life, which is my kind of, okay, I'm going to step out of the larger fields and I'm just going to focus on my life and become the hero of my life. It's not that hero of my life. No, we're the ones that my life is the life of the all. We are, ready for this, my friends? We are all in for all life. That's who we are. We are here. We are committed all in for all life. That's who we are. We are all in for all life. No one's outside of the circle. But that's not an ordinary thing to be. That's not, and by the way, if you want to be normal, you're in the wrong place. That's not normal. Normal is insane. Normal people are insane. Normal people are right. I'm concerned with my separate self life, me and my child and my friend and my one other friend. I'm normal. Now, normal is insanity, right? Normal thinking creates dukkha, creates massive suffering. Normal life created 100 million non-combatants dead in the 20th century. And the 21st century is far more threatening. That's normal thinking. That's normal consciousness. Normal consciousness is insanity. We're not here to be normal. We're here to be actually superhumans. But to be superhumans is actually to become human. And to become human means we awaken to the new human and the new humanity. It means we are the leading edge of consciousness. Yes. Oh, did he really say that? Yes. That's what we're here to be. We're here to embody in our very bodies the new human and the new humanity, to become the new human and the new humanity. We disguise ourselves as many things. We call ourselves a weekly broadcast. It's a podcast. It's a community, right? It's a think tank. We're none of those. We are a band of outrageous lovers. We are a group of erotic mystics. We are human beings who are willing to love that much. We're willing to love that much. We're willing to feel the whole. We're willing to feel the whole. Kirsten, right, writes me a long letter clarifying something, right? We're not writing in order to let's get this detail worked out so we can functionally move forward with this particular project in this particular way. No, the reason we write a note about anything in depth and we pour ourselves into it because we're clarifying reality. We've taken on ourselves to say we're willing to feel the whole thing. That's who we are. We're willing to feel the whole thing. That's insane, right? That's insane. We're willing to stay another 3 days and not go to the symphony on Sunday because somehow we need to be here to feel the whole thing. We're willing to feel the whole thing. Does that make sense? We're willing to feel the whole thing, right? We're willing to play a larger game. We're willing to play a larger game, and we're willing to take responsibility for the evolution of love. We're willing to take responsibility for the evolution of love. For the evolution of love, that's who we are. The entire story of reality, everything, beginning to end, is about 3 questions. Where am I? Who am I? What should we be doing? Where are we? And this is the best science we have. And we're going to put out 5 volumes. And Kirsten, you and I crafted the first step of those volumes. And Lena's now repatterning and and playing. And we're working out the next step, that particular piece. But where are we? right? And Talia, we got the biochemistry, and this is biochemistry 101, right? Where are we? We are literally in the middle of a love story. Evolution is the love story of the universe. That is what it is. It's filled with agony. It's filled with ecstasy, with cycles of creation and destruction, but they're all part of a larger story. We're living in an amorous cosmos for real. Reality is a love story. The entire thing is driven by allurement. And as Eli pointed out in his, as he was kind of unpacking, there's reality is animated by needs. Needs, we need. And when we clarify our need, what do we need? What's our ultimate need? We need to participate in that love story. That's what we need. We're going to talk about that more in a few minutes. But
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. I wanted to take a quick second to let you know that if you are loving these teachings and you're interested in implementing them into your own life and going deeper and understanding more of the new story of value that we are writing here at the Center for World Philosophy and Religion, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you, which is an online academy. Now, there are multiple tiers to the academy. First, you can join in just our free section where you will have an entire calendar which has all of our Sunday calls so that you'll never miss a call in the future, as well as a whole page with all of our replays throughout the years. So there you can find every single replay from our Sunday teachings, which is just amazing to have it all organized in one place. But then if you would like to get more involved, you can come into the community tier. Now in the community tier, we have things like getting to know you sessions. We have a bi-weekly book club going on where you can read these books and discuss. We have a book club led by two of our wonderful team members here, Jamie and Christina. But then if you really want to take the deep dive, you can come join the Academy tier. The Academy tier is where we have all of our courses. So every few months, we have a new live course with Dr. Marc Gafni that we study all together. Right now, we are in a course called Identifying Your Unique Wound. And here you'll see that you'll get all of the replays and you'll have a space to discuss with people, meet new people. And then there's a whole section of self-study courses where you can go at your own pace through tons of brilliant teachings with Dr. Marc Gafni and the team here at the Center for World Philosophy and Religion. So if you're interested in going deeper, this is the place to come. You can either sign up for our free section right away or check out any of the other sections in the links in our description. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
I need value. I need clarified value in my life, and I need to be a participant, right, in the evolution of love. That's what I need. And what's my deepest heart's desire? My clarified desire is always, my appetite is for more wholeness, more contact, more value, but not just in my story, right? Eros means Eros value lives in me, as me, and through me. And I am an irreducible, unique expression of the love intelligence and love beauty of all that is. And my need is reality's need. But my deepest clarified need is a need of reality, and my story participates in the universe, a love story. That's where we live. We live in a love story. But if I don't get it, this is not cute. This is not, oh, he said this before. Why are we talking about this now? No, this is not information, right? If I don't know I'm in a love story, I live completely differently. I'm in a love story. That's where I am. That's where I live. I'm living in a love story. And every act in this play of my life, every single thing that happens to me this week is that love story at play. That's where I am, right? My need is to participate in this love story. My need is to be an actor and create new love this week, new Eros value this week, but not just for myself, but for the whole, right? That's what it means to be the new human, the new humanity. My need and my desire is for value, right? Because need, clarified need is value, and clarified desire is value. That's what they are. I have value, and value creates rights. I have a right to exist. I have a right to be here. We don't even get that we have a right to be here. One of the beautiful pieces of work that Unique Self does in kind of mapping the reality of having a right to be here. And one of the beautiful work that kind of the work that, right, that, so that's done kind of by David and Claire. Claire started the Unique Self Institute. But then I got to get it in my body. That's what KK is saying, right? Dr. Kincaid is saying, Homo armor to Homo Amor, you've got a right to be here because you are a value of Cosmos, and Cosmos needs you and desires you, and your need and desire is Cosmos needing and desiring through you. It's that you have a right to be here. You're welcome here, but then you have a responsibility. You're a steward. You're a steward. You are literally, we are literally co-creators of the whole thing. And it can't happen without us. It will collapse under the weight of its own confusion unless we clarify. Now, that's actually true. This is the generation where that needs to happen. We need to clarify values real. What does it mean that value is real? What are the first principles and first values? Why is value real? Why is Harari wrong when he says, as Kathy is working on completing that book, why is he wrong when he says any meaning you ascribe to your life is mere delusion? Any value you ascribe to your life is mere delusion, and sells 60 million books and writes children's books. And we're like, oh, no, but we can't go back to the old religion. We got to go forward to this new merger of spirit and religion and create this world religion as a context for diversity, where we get this thread that Eli sang: need, desire, value, right, responsibility. And that's where human rights come from. When Harari says, where do human rights come from? He says, they don't. They're made up. They don't exist. That's not a slippery slope towards totalitarianism. That's a cliff. We have no chance. So actually, we are standing for not the commodifiable, not the measurable. We're standing for the immeasurable. We're standing for the priceless. We're standing for kind of the integrity that makes a human being, that makes being alive the most glorious, stunning gift we could possibly have. So just feel this with me. Stay inside. Stay with us. Stay with us in the center. Who are we? Who are we? Where are we? Where are we? We're in the universal love story. Who are we? Each of us are irreducibly unique expressions of the amorous cosmos in person. Yeah, that's who we are. That's who we are. That's who we are. Like, wow. Right? Like, wow. That's a very, very, very big deal. Okay? That's a very, very big deal. And in order to know how to act in the world, we don't know how to act in the world based on reading surface newspapers that are giving us complicated information, right? We actually go and check very carefully what's going on in every situation in the world and how we respond to it and how we act and how we move. So what's our intention, right? And you might ask yourself, and we're about to go on today's topic, like, why do I bother starting this way? So I'm not starting this way for you. I'm starting this way for me. We forget, my friends. It's so easy to forget. That's the nature of the human being. The nature of the human being is that we forget every single day. And in the lineage of Solomon, the great wisdom of Solomon lineage, the fundamental daily injunction is to remember. There's a mitzvah tamidit, there's a constant command to be intimate with reality, and it's called Zachor, Z-A-C-H-O-R, and Zachor means remember who you are, remember where you are, remember what ought be done. And we forget. And as we've shared before, it's okay to forget. But then what happens is we forget that we've forgotten. And so we're here, first off, just to remember who we are. Who are we here in One Mountain? We're not a program, right? We're not a kind of public offering. We're not a self-help seminar. We're not even a transformational seminar. Does everyone get that? I used to, a decade ago, I would say we're not self-help, we're transformation. I would say self-help is what you're trying to get out, and transformation is what you're trying to pour in. Who remembers when we used to say that when we were young, right? That's what we used to say, and that's true, but it's so much bigger than that. We're actually not just transformation. We're here to know that we have to transform the whole. And we can transform the whole. We can do it. It can be done. We can do it. And our most effective strategic intervention, right? We are God's intervention into God's universe, right? Is to tell a new story of value. The only thing that's ever changed reality is the merger of a new techno-economic base together with a new story of value. Right now we have a revolution in techno-economic base, which may wind up being almost as significant as the introduction of language. Not quite, Lena, but almost as significant as the introduction of language. We have the techno-economic base and structure of reality is all completely and utterly changing. So the exterior technologies that have been exponentially emerging, and I've been talking about exponential growth for the last 10 years and what exponential growth means. So those exponential technologies are now exponentiating beyond imagination, and interior technologies are literally at a standstill. The new age is lost in itself. It's either marketing or offering new ways of kind of doing this or that process, as if the world's the same way it was 40 years ago. The world is burning. It's burning. And we need to respond. And all of One Mountain is about one thing, creating the most possible joy in the world, right? And we got to create the Jerusalem city of peace, right? As that's the metaphor, right? As the world itself, we got to get underneath any individual issue. And we have to say, okay, that's what Da Vinci did. Right? We're at a time between worlds, we're at a time between stories. Like they were in the Renaissance. What Da Vinci understood is you can't get to every village and solve the Black Death, although you got to do everything you can. You got to tell a new story of value that actually changes the whole thing. We will not survive unless we tell a new story of value. It's not going to happen. We have no chance. We have no chance. And I think I'm just going to just like naked heart. I think as far as I can see, and I mean this, I know it's an audacious thing to say, but I mean it tenderly. As far as I can see, what we're doing here has the best chance of doing that I'm aware of in the world. Meaning we have a very significant real chance. And that's why we're doing it not under even our own name. Does everyone get that? We're not doing it. I'm not running under Marc Gafni or Zach Stein or Sally Kempton or Ken Wilber or Dr. Kincaid, right? We're writing under David J. Temple. We've made up a name. It's bigger than us. But we got to be those people, right? We don't know where the Vedas came from. We don't know where the sutras came from. We don't know where the Bible came from. We need a new sacred text that is rooted in the deepest science, right? And when you hear the way New Age does science today, you kind of fall off your seat and you want to die. We got to do the deepest science, but also the deepest interior science and the deepest spirit. We've got to reclaim religion. We've got major moves. And I want to just say, last thing, I am terrified how far ahead of the game we are. In other words, when I look around, I'm like, hello? And so we don't want to win something here. We don't want to win a prize. We want 1,000 flowers to bloom. We want 1,000 places to arise that are doing their versions of this. And then they all come together like a mighty stream, right? And actually, right, sweep, right? We've got to, right? It's not enough for there to be a candle. It's not enough to be a candle, right? 30 years ago was enough to be a candle. 20 years ago was enough to be a candle. There's many candles out there, but that's right. That's beautiful, and they should continue. But there's a very specific need. And that is, we need to actually work out what are first principles and first values. We need to work out the best answer to where, right? The best answer to who, the best answer to what. Okay, we ready? We ready? And I'm so glad, by the way, I'm so glad, and just everyone, I'm so glad that we get to do these introductions, right? Meaning we're not doing, this is not a prescripted program, right? We're here to feel and to think and to be alive and to be authentic together, right? We're off script. We're going to always be off script here. Okay, we're real. Okay, so we're talking about need. Okay, this is our third and final week talking about need within this quintet of need, clarified need, desire, clarified desire, which discloses value, clarified value, which discloses, creates rights, which creates responsibility. That's our quintet. Okay. And this is our third week talking about need. Fair? Okay. So what is our core need? What do we actually need? Okay. So what I want to try and do is I want to tell you a story at like 5 to 2. But I want to try and establish in some very, very deep way, what is our core need? Okay. So our core need is twin. There's two fundamental core needs. Okay? Two fundamental core needs. One, we need power. And we have a need for power. That's a very big deal. We have a need for power. Two, we have a need for value. So one is we need power. It's going to go slow. We need power, one. Two is we need value. Three is we need pleasure. Those are the three great values. I want to tell the story in a new way. Okay? We've told the story in many ways as we're kind of articulating this Dharma, but I want to try and say it in a new way. We need power. We need value. And we need pleasure. We experience fundamental shame when we are alienated from power. We don't experience power. We experience fundamental shame when we're alienated from value. We feel dissociated, disconnected from value. And we feel shame when we're alienated from the fullness of pleasure. We don't actually, we're disconnected, we're dissociated from pleasure. Now, obviously, right, the first word power and the second word pleasure and the middle word value are subject to an enormous amount of misinterpretation, obviously. So obviously, when I say power, I don't mean the anti-value of power, which is Sauron in Lord of the Rings, right, which is power which is dissociated from the field of value, where power itself is not value, power becomes anti-value. So every dimension of value has an anti-value. And of course, Tolkien realizes this when he writes Lord of the Rings. And so Sauron is the value of power in its anti-value form. It's not pseudo-power. It's not pseudo, it's anti. And if you remember, I've talked about the difference between, right, value, pseudo-value, and anti-value. Eros, pseudo-eros and anti-eros. The pseudo recognizes the value and imitates it. The anti operates as an antonym. It does the opposite of the value. So if Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, experiencing, right, it's experience of radical aliveness, right, desiring ever deeper contact and ever greater wholeness. That's Eros. Pseudo-eros is pseudo-contact, pseudo-wholeness. Does that make sense? Pseudo-aliveness. Anti-eros is the torture. Goes to create the opposite of aliveness, the opposite of contact, the opposite of wholeness. You get that? Difference between pseudo and anti, very important. So let's go back. Let's stay in our frame. Let's stay in our frame. So we have a need for power. A fundamental human need. We have a need for power. Stay close. You can discern the need for the value of power through its anti-value expression. The anti-value expression is power which is anti-value, in which power doesn't serve the larger field of value. It's not power for. Power becomes one value, dissociated from the field, which becomes idolatrous. It is the modern possibility of idolatry, right? In other words, powers of value, I'm allured to power, but power is no longer a value in the field of value. Power becomes the only value because it's so radically intoxicating. It becomes self-validating. It's that powerful, right? So there's this drive for power that obliterates all other values. There's it's very rare that there's anything good on Netflix. Netflix does not have a lot of good things happening, sad to say. But there is one series, Poldark, which is actually not bad, from a few years ago. And Poldark is about a conflict between two men, right? Essentially, Poldark, and a man named George. And George is the villain. And George has other values in him. He has kindness, he has goodness, But the intoxication of power obliterates all other values until it becomes, at a certain point, a kind of sarang, right? So like there's anti-value of power is when power dissociates from the field, it's no longer in service of the field of value and becomes the only value. But power itself, stay with me, is the experience that I impact, that what I do matters, that my matter, the physical mattered expression of me, matters infinitely, that my life matters, and my life matters means that I make a difference. My life makes a difference. I have the capacity to impact. And, stay with me, and it's simply insufficient, right, to feel, right, when I'm of a particular quality of soul. So there's a soul that's called an neshama pratit, a private soul. So a private soul, right, it's sufficient for a private soul to take care of their egocentric world, which is beautiful. My family, my daughter, my sister, my friend, my business, that's beautiful. That's an egocentric soul. That's a beautiful soul. And we studied last week Cook's fourfold song, where he talks about the song of the soul. So it's enough for me to impact in my egocentric circle, right? I need to feel powerful in that circle, but not power over, but the elixir of power running through me that serves the field of value. I want to impact that field, my immediate circle, right? But then there's a second song that we talked about last week. No, I want to impact my whole tribe, not because I want to become famous. Famous means I've done no service, and I've been recognized, dissociated from service. That's what modern fame has become. Fame has become the goal. Instead of fame being a byproduct of a job well done, the job well done is fame, an inversion, right, of reality itself. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, no, I've got a deeper need. I want power, right? I want this power throughout my tribe. I want to impact. I want to be in service to the whole. That's the second song. The third song is the song of the world. No, I want to impact and be of service to every human being. And then the fourth song, the fourfold song is, I want to be of service to the whole. I'm all in for all life. Get that phrase. We get it in the chat box. I'm all in for all life. Do you get that? Can we get that? Can we catch that in the chat box? Anybody? I'm all in. Stay with me. But I'm all in. Big letters, big letters, big letters. I'm all in for all life. Let's feel that. I'm all in. That's cosmocentric. I'm all in for all life. I'm all in for all life. I feel my desires not just me and my small group, and even my embodied desires, not just for my own fulfillment, right? My desire itself, I pour into the source code. My desire itself and my joy, I pour into strengthening, into thickening, into nourishing, into feeding the source code of reality itself. I'm an erotic mystic for the sake of the whole. So I have a need to impact, not just at an egocentric level. I have a need to impact, not just at a sociocentric, ethnocentric level. I have a need to impact, not just at a world-centric level. I actually have a fundamental need as a human being to affect the whole. If I'm a certain quality of soul in this lifetime, it's not a better soul or a worse soul. All souls are fundamentally equal. No one's blood is more red than anyone else's blood. Everyone has the same rights, of course. But we also have different destinies. We're called to different destinies. So if we're called to the destiny of the cosmocentric soul, I want you to feel that. Right? If you're not called to that destiny, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't even know what I'm talking about. But if you're called, if the quality of your lifetime and if the call that's yours to answer, of answering the call, right? If any part of you recognizes what I'm saying, this is about you and this is about me, right? I can't even begin to experience my dignity without actually being a hero. And being a hero means not a kind of the hero that is mocked, in the Barbie movie a couple of years back. It's not the hero that's been problematized correctly by postmodernity, right? It's not the ethnocentric hero or the egocentric hero, right? No, it's the hero who's for the sake of the whole. The hero means I feel the whole. I put on my cape and I feel the whole. And I'm going to stake for the whole. I'm going to pour into the whole. I'm not going to kind of do my job and have this little side hobby I do. No, I'm going to feel the whole, right? And I need to have an experience in my body where I know that I'm not turning away from suffering. And I'm not turning away from pain. And I'm not turning away from the broken information ecologies. I'm turning towards, and I'm not going to shut my heart. I'm not going to close my heart. We close our hearts. We close our hearts not because we don't care. We close our hearts because we don't know what to do. It's too big. It's too wide. So we close our hearts. We contract. But when we close our hearts, right, if we're a cosmocentric soul, we die. Our soul's deadened, right? We have to turn away again and again. And we literally spend our lives turning away. And as we've said before, only God in the last generation knew more about suffering than we do. And if you're wired in, you see it every place, all the time, everywhere, not right in a nonstop 24-hour way. So if you turn away, what you're doing is, if you're a cosmocentric soul and you're turning away, you're closing your heart again and again and again. My life becomes literally a constant. That's the life of a contemporary cosmocentric soul, is I'm going to continually close my heart, close my heart, close my heart, close my heart, close my heart. Oh, it opened, close it. Oh, I felt something, close it. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Close it, close it, close it. Do you get that? Does everyone get that? I literally have to live closing my heart 1,000 times a day. Why? Because I have no power, because the gap between my ability to feel the pain and my power to heal the pain is too great. And in that gap, I close my heart. And then I become powerless. And then I'm shamed by my powerlessness. Does everyone get that? Fuck. Right? I'm shamed by my powerlessness. The root core of shame, the core ideology of shame is being powerless. With all due respect to Brene Brown, and bless you, Brene, in Texas, we talked about shame in kind of separate self-psychological terms, and she made a good contribution, but shame is so much deeper. At the root core of shame is there's a shame of finitude, which is the shame of being powerless, right? Of not being able to impact. Right? So the shame of being powerless might be the shame of I can't pay my rent. That's an egocentric version of that shame, and that's quite real. It might be the shame of feeling invisible. So therefore, I'm not powerful. The shame of feeling invisible is not a shame of, it's not an egoic shame, right? It's the shame of I want to impact, and I need to be visible to impact because I feel that power, right, moving through me, in me, as me, and through me. Right? There's a fundamental need to have power. And no one's willing to say it out loud. And therefore, psychology breaks. Right? There is no human dignity without being infinitely powerful. Not power over. That's not power. Powerful means that I actually recognize, I know, I feel that in the coursing of desire through me, desire in all of its disguises, whether it's embodied desire, whether it's sensual desire, whether it's desire to create, whether it's desire to love, whether it's desire to make the world better, whether it's desire to give my unique gift. But reality is throbbing desire, and all desire is part of the same field. And my fundamental desire is to be radically alive, and from that radical aliveness, to impact, to gift, to change, to offer a gift of my naked heart into reality. And when my naked heart is madly in love with reality, reality changes. Right? We are ontological activists. Ontology, right? The essence of the real. We're ontological activists for the sake of the whole. That's what we're doing, telling a new story of value. The reason we're telling a new story of value, because it's the most powerful thing we can do that the world desperately needs. And power is always attuned to need in all frames of desire. It's your need is my allurement. If I overwhelm your need, I'm not listening to your need, I'm only locked in my own narcissistic neediness, then I obliterate you, I annihilate you. Right? But to make love with reality means, what does reality need? Right? Reality desperately needs a new story of value. It's the single most powerful thing we can do. But the need to be powerful is a fundamental need. So I want to kind of say it this way. Okay? I'm trying to say it this way. Okay, stay with me, everyone, okay? Say it this way. Homo Amor, the new human, the new humanity that we're talking about here, about birthing Homo Amor has a moral obligation to be power hungry. That makes sense? Homo Amor has a moral obligation to be power hungry. Not hungry for power over. Of course not. But I need to be hungry for power to impact and change and transform myself. Hungry for the power to be engaged in my own self-transformation. And hungry for the power to actually realize the truth that my transformation transforms the whole. And hungry for the power to strategize, because Goddess, demands strategy. Goddess created a world in which there is no light, which is not held by a vessel. And a vessel, right, a container means strategy. We need strategies to change the whole, right? And we're hungry for power. And we're shamed by our powerlessness. And my power is in service of the field of value. Power is a value of cosmos, and power means impact. And I impact not because I'm needy. It's not the pseudo-eros of power or the pseudo-value of power, right? I look for kind of, let me have 40 people working for me, right? Because I have this neediness that if some people will respond, right, to me, then I'll feel like I have a place, and then I get a little sadistic. Power is not a response to neediness. So divinity is called the infinity of power in every tradition. And infinity is value itself. Divinity, the divine, is value. And the divine value is described as infinity of power. So if I'm Homo Imago Dei, if I'm in the divine image, then I have to experience power. What did the Buddha do sitting under the Bodhi tree? Let's go from the west to east. What did he do? He said, how can I be powerful? Meaning, what's the basic story of reality I can tell, right, in the 3rd century before the Common Era, right, which will, or whatever century it was, or a little earlier, right, which will allow me, right, through telling this new story of value, which he called the Four Truths, the Four Noble Truths, then the Eightfold Path, but sort of the four Noble Truths. Those Four Noble Truths changes the source code. So Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree was dreaming of power. So what's the most powerful thing I can do to actually heal the wounds of reality, to heal the pain of reality, to heal suffering? I can tell you the Four Noble Truths. That's what we're doing here. Now, Buddha got part of it, and he got part of it wrong. He got as much as he could get 3 centuries before the Common Era. It's great. We integrate. We take the best of what exists in the world, but we're here to do that again. Now, that's not easy. That's hard. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's stunning. It's hard. It's not cute. It's not a declaration. It's not a new age move. It's not a bestseller book. It's like blood on the ground. We're gonna rewrite the source code. We're gonna go into every discipline. We're gonna go into every field of knowing, and we're gonna do everything we can to unpack it at its root, and then to transform it, to up-level it, to uplift it, to clarify it, and then to kind of bring those pearls together, string them together, right, into a stunning, right, necklace, right, of a new story of value, because that is our fundamental need. We have a need for that level of power because we feel so much. And we need, right, to close the gap between our ability to feel and our ability to heal. And we need to address that in the world, and we can't turn away. And here's the crazy thing. That's our highest pleasure. The highest pleasure is the pleasure of that power, right? We need power, and we need pleasure. And the highest pleasure is the pleasure of impact, the pleasure of power. I can impact myself. I can transform myself. I can impact reality. I can transform reality. But here it is all the way. I can impact God, and I can transform God. God says, I love you so crazy much, I'm going to enter into reality and partner with you because I become more through that partnership. And I love you so much that you can impact me. That's what it means to love. When I say I love you, it means I feel your pain, I feel your power. To say I love you to someone for the first time means we're going to feel each other. We're here. We're going to impact each other. We're going to hold each other, right? Like, wow. So God says, I love you to the world. And we say, I love you to God, which means we impact each other. I have the power to impact God. If you would ask me, what's the single most stunning realization of the interior sciences that we need to integrate into this new story of value, it is the dignity of power. And the dignity of power is threefold: the power to transform myself, the power to transform reality, and the power to transform God. Snu oz lelohim, give power to God. Wow. Here's the text. Da mala mala. Know that which is above, meaning in all worlds, mimcha comes from your power. The greatest dignity of the human being is to know that my individual, irreducibly unique life story, which is part of the story of the whole, that when I change, when I transform the whole, that I have the capacity to turn directly to the whole and to transform the whole. And if I'm not transforming the whole, if I don't actually feel myself, not just as doing my role in the world, I'm a role mate to the world. That's good. Not just I'm in love with the world, I'm a soulmate to the world. I'm a whole mate to the world. I feel the whole and the whole moves through me and I move through the whole. And I'm power hungry to transform the whole. So that was our intention, okay? Here we go. Ready? This is how we started today. What was our question at the beginning? Our question was, are we ready to play a larger game? That's the larger game. Is to recognize I have a fundamental need. But just to get it clearly, I mean, it's like you won't be happy until you've owned your power. But owning my power is not to be empowered in some kind of, narcissistic way to kind of be the hero of my own life. Relax. Be the hero who's all in for all life. We are heroes who are all in for all life. God, that hurts. God, that's ecstatic. Okay. Krista, give us directions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Marc Gafni. Oh my God, that was gorgeous. So it's an exciting, beautiful year that we have where we're doing 4 short 3-week courses in collaboration with the Unique Self Institute and Parallax. So it's an amazing, amazing journey where we're going to dive deep into looking into our own wounds, but especially how we can transform our wounds, as Marc spoke about today, to become that hero for the sake of the whole. So today's teaching has been all about claiming our power, being power hungry for the sake of the whole. And I just want to ask everyone, ask yourself, how can you claim your power in this next week ahead? So you really take these teachings and you bring it into your week, into your daily practice, into your walks. So when you're riding your bike or driving your car, think about these things and think about, how can I implement this in my life? How can I make this real? What is the one action that I need to take to become power hungry for the sake of the whole? And of course, an amazing way to do that is stepping into this mission and make this revolution our own, because it is really true that there is a seat at the table here for each and every one of us, and we are in desperate need of each other's unique gifts and unique power to make this revolution happen. So if you want to come closer, please do find the links either now in the chat box or later underneath this replay, so that we can find each other, we can feel each other. We have a beautiful free community space that you can join where we can connect with each other, but we also have a paid community where you get a ton of courses, a ton of value. Every day we have daily evolutionary prayer practice. We have these amazing courses that we're doing. You get access to 10 self-study courses, book clubs, everything. So check out the link below, and we can't wait to meet each other there.